Morning. So I've been thinking about beauty and the creative process. And here I am in all of my unwashed, unkempt glory. It's the middle of a Saturday morning, and I'm just entranced by the concept of beauty. Perhaps part of it's that I've been hanging out with my little girls who, no matter how much they're screaming or snotty, they're still beautiful. Perhaps because I'm their mother, but perhaps because they're children and they still have beauty inherent in them, no matter what. They don't doubt their beauty. The post I wrote yesterday as part of my 365 Strong Stories project was about being pretty, being beautiful, being sexy, and how hard it is for me and for I know many women to feel that, to feel pretty, beautiful, sexy, and how important it is, even if we don't necessarily want it to be, even if it is against our feminist principles. But I'm not here this morning to talk about feminism necessarily. I'm here to talk about the creative process and the way I see it relating to beauty. In that a post I wrote just yesterday, I'll include the link after I post this video, I was talking about how I spent so much of my 20s, early 20s and teens, I guess, college years, feeling unpretty. When I would sing along with Ani DiFranco to I Am Not a Pretty Girl, I meant it in a way that wasn't necessarily a declaration of freedom and independence and power. It was more just I didn't feel like I was worth looking at. And that had ramifications throughout my whole life, and it certainly had ramifications throughout my creative life. Because now as I look at it, when with my bags under my eyes here in my mid-30s, so often at home in yoga pants and hair that hasn't been washed in a few days, I know I feel beautiful in a way that I never did when I was a senior in college. In a way when I was dressing up to go to class every day and just feeling like I couldn't get it together. And there's a parallel there between how creative I know I am now, how beautiful I feel. And back in those days, in my early 20s, before I guess I discovered myself, before I was really able to realize I was a writer who had to write, and I felt ugly every day. I hope you have all read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Can't recommend it highly enough. It's brilliant. But one of the things she talks about in the book is courting the muse and dressing for the muse. She tells some great stories about people who would wear all sorts of outrageous costumes in order to really write the book that they wanted to write, to inhabit the characters they wanted to be. And I think there's something to that. I've at times had a writing cloak or a writing scarf that has definitely been helpful when I'm working on a specific project. But in general, I think that just speaks to the fact that there is a connection of some kind between how you feel about the way you look and how you're thinking about your own physical body and physical appearance and the way your creative work shows up in the world. The way that you're writing or you're painting or whatever your creative art is, it becomes, even if you're not going for beauty, it becomes something that wants to be seen and wants to be looked at. When you have a perspective on your own beauty that says, yeah, I accept myself for who I am. I like the way that I look, despite the bags under my eyes that look more like luggage and, you know, a few extra pounds here and there, or whatever it is that you have about your body that you might wish to change. So ultimately, love yourself, love your creative process, love your looks. There's a connection there. It's not a simple connection. It can take years to heal. But just tune in for a moment and pay attention to it and see if maybe you might be able to clear up some creative blocks, not necessarily by forcing yourself to sit down at the page, but by looking in the mirror and deciding that you love what you see. The storyteller in me sees the storyteller in you, and I'm grateful to all of you. Keep writing, keep telling your stories, and let me know what stories you want to tell.